Salutations, Gold Silver Clan. Hello, this is Alan Hibbard, again with another video. I'd like to revisit a topic we discussed in an earlier video and verify some facts. So, Mike Maloney recently released a video in which he discussed numerous recent events in the silver market. Along with other things, he showed a series of 9 tweets written by a gentleman named Hansa Czerny. Additionally, Mike assured me that I would examine those tweets in a video that is coming out soon. Here is the video in question. Alright, let's get started with the very first tweet in the thread, sent by Hansa himself. Revealed that the silver market is experiencing rapid and significant changes. Okay, let's make a connection. This is the first tweet. A number of signs have surfaced in recent days that suggest the silver market is about to undergo a dramatic change. The previously dull, manipulated market is now exploding with activity. I understand. The price of silver is rising sharply. Actual shipment numbers are skyrocketing. Silver deliveries on COMEX have recently begun, matching daily production on a global scale at nearly 2 million ounces. Investors, industries, and short sellers are all vying for a piece of metal. Is a shortage on the horizon? Most likely. Okay then, let's look at those figures. Is COMEX seeing a physical delivery explosion of almost 2 million ounces daily? If we visit COMEX, we can observe that silver deliveries have been on the rise as of late, but this trend persists throughout most of 2025. Their upward trend is obvious, as are the monthly fluctuations. This is not novel, that is simply the nature of market trading. Each of these clusters represents a month when we focus on the most recent 6 months. My observation is that nothing seems out of the usual, so the 2 million ounces per day that he mentioned doesn't add up. That's really high. Nothing seems to fit. This is in ounces, I see. I understand. Molds of silver in cubic inches. We've reached 45 million for the entire month. Okay, so that's 1.5 million every single day on average. It's not an explosion, but it is an average. It's just like any other thing. At the start of the month, we naturally see the largest increase, around 25 million. Afterwards, a trickle. Not quite the figures he's claiming, an additional 20 million spread out over 30 days, or less than 1 million each day. I am thus perplexed as to his source. COMEX silver is sent to this location. Over the past decade, 2 billion, yes, that's a billion, ounces have been delivered cumulatively, as shown by this black line. Plus, it has been showing signs of acceleration as of late. However, to reiterate, that mostly sums up 2025. Silver had a banner year in 2025. Everyone knows this, but there wasn't some huge event in July that caused this to spike or be unusual. So 260 million ounces is the total for the past 6 months if we magnify this image, plus the most current one, which is 25,000 ounces. Thus, 25,000 instead of 2 million. This trickle down here is extremely low, as you can see. I am uncertain about the source of that figure. I am uncertain. By the way, I also wanted to highlight the COMEX silver stocks. Their recent increase is plain to observe. In 2025, the number of eligible individuals has generally increased. The overall upward trend and the size of the registered also have been increasing over the past few months. As we continue, this area of dark green is becoming wider. It appears that we have not yet received those large orders, but that could be a sign that the COMEX is preparing for them. So, returning to this tweet, I fail to perceive these figures. The figures don't make sense to me. In general, I agree with the thread's overarching narrative, but I fail to understand his reasoning in this particular case. The statistics don't add up to that. The third tweet is next. Alright, let's go. The amount of physical silver held by LBMA is extremely low, peculiar. TD Securities states that the amount of free float silver in London has reached a record low of 155 million ounces. The vaults are really drying up, no typo. So I'm curious, is the total amount of free float silver still 155 million ounces? Well, we can see their gold and silver holdings on the LBMA website. Even though they don't have 155,760 ounces of silver, they do have 760 million ounces, which is a lot of silver. Silver ETFs use the bulk of this silver. As a result, Futures contracts cannot use it for trading or settlement. In the end, you'll get close to 155 million after you take everything out. For example, this is what we find in a Bloomberg article. This was released in early July. Market inventories of freely available silver are critically low, according to TD Securities analyst Daniel Golly, who claims that the silver outflow was caused by the tariff arbitrage opportunity. Severely diminished. Oh my. According to him, the silver free float estimates of LBMA are currently at their lowest points in history. On Thursday, Golly expressed his thoughts in a note. The liquidity illusion that silver offers. Therefore, it is not a liquid. Everything points to it being a liquid. What this tells us is that physical silver prices will have to fall before the markets can rebalance. I see. So, according to Gali, the free float silver at LBMA is currently at an all-time low. But neither this article nor this place contains any numbers. As a result, I looked around and came across this Reddit post. 155 million ounces of silver are now available, according to Daniel Golly, a senior commodity strategist at TD Securities. This is down from 760 million ounces at LBMA in London. Therefore, that is the figure that Golly has come up with. Well, it seems like this is legit. A monthly demand of around 100 million ounces would put the annual demand at 1,200 million ounces, as reported by the Silver Institute. The amount of silver available in the market is therefore insufficient to last for more than 1.5 months. Without a doubt, that's an incredible amount of time, just 1.5 months. When I wanted to know more about this guy, I began researching his background. Can you tell me if he has done other calculations or made other predictions? Is he trustworthy? In December of 2024, I came across this information. LBMA's free float of silver will be reduced to approximately 90 million ounces before it falls below the levels needed to meet the average daily trading volumes on the OTC. The senior commodity strategist at TDS, Daniel Golly, points out. I understand. That means his December prediction that the LBMA held only approximately 90 million ounces of silver was correct. His latest estimate is 155 million, so, alright, regardless, it remains low. It is undeniable. Anyway, it's not very high. This phrase, however, stands out as the most intriguing, the lowest in recorded history. Are these figures documented somewhere? You know, those aren't the official numbers from LBMA. Analysts perform these computations. In any case, it's not very high. We have been in an era that is comparable to the lowest point in recorded history if you consider the past 8 months or so to be a single era. So what? If you consider December to be an independent variable from July though, you'll see that December actually had lower values. In any case, it's not very high. Now let's proceed. Lastly, the over-the-counter and EFP markets are shifting. Lease rates for silver are increasing by more than 6%. Premiums are getting wider. On the COMEX and in London, a perfect storm is taking shape. OTC is becoming exceedingly constrained. This doesn't seem right. Our lease rates have recently spiked at over 6%. Got it, at least that's what Bloomberg says. Oh, without a doubt, these are the lease rates for silver and they're going up. Assumed monthly rates for silver leases are these. You can observe that it began with a spike of over 6% in January of this year, then it fell, then it rose again, and now it's up over 6% once again. Clearly, this is not the usual. An extremely low lease rate, a fraction of a percent, is considered normal. This has occurred 3 times already in 2025, and we are now up more than 6%. Clearly, this is out of the ordinary. Rental prices are skyrocketing. There must be some market activity going on if that is happening. Now let's proceed. Fifthly, the Madian market in Beijing is experiencing unprecedented activity, being the top coin market in China. After decades of selling, dealers are suddenly purchasing panda silver coins in large quantities. Why? A 27-gram panda from 1983 is currently selling for 1.72 million yuan. The price per ounce is $27,000. Or 239,000 US dollars. Those are absolutely staggering figures. It was my intention to discover proof of this. I searched everywhere for news articles. Not a single thing. I went ahead and asked Hansa directly at last. I'm an employee of Mike Maloney, Hansa. A video will be forthcoming as a follow-up to this. Could you tell me where you obtained the numbers for the Chinese panda? Nothing in the news or articles seems to touch on that. According to him, the dealer in the Czech Republic was the source. It follows that the dealer most likely also sent this image. Thus, it is anecdotal. Therefore, it could be happening. I believe he was off by a factor of 10 in that computation, but hey, those are still mind-boggling figures. That is somewhat irrelevant. It may be a collector's item, so I can't say for sure if that's a common occurrence or if it's just happening in that one place. A coin from 1983 isn't exactly like the most common or newly minted coins, you know. Therefore, I would not put too much stock in that figure. I am also unable to verify its accuracy. Thus, perhaps that is true. No one can tell us. Sixth, institutional and retail investors are taking notice of silver's setup. Low supply, high industrial demand, no surplus mining capacity, and absurdly low prices compared to gold. Speculative capital is pouring in. Is pouring. FOMO is real and they're buying. That then is the synopsis, the storyline. With his perspective, I do agree in general. Currently, the silver market appears to be in a state of complete chaos. I can think of no more desirable market to be a part of. So, what's the big picture? We're not merely witnessing a price surge. A structural breakout, which might put an end to decades of repression, is beginning, and we are seeing its early stages. I so concur. Additionally, I will be purchasing additional silver as my next investment. Plus, I'm doing it at goldsilver.com, of course. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this analysis and look forward to seeing you in our next video. Visit goldsilver.com to invest and receive a bonus of up to $2,000 in silver. It's simple. First, select a gold-silver storage account, not an IRA, to open. Step 2. Acquire the metals of your choice. Third, have an extra 2,000 silver coins sent directly to your vault. To get your hands on some free silver, head over to goldsilver.com.